This video was brought to you by LogRocket, the front-end performance monitor that records videos of user sessions along with logs and network data, surfacing problems and revealing the root cause of every bug. Try it today at logrocket.com/YT.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Cianci, and today we'll be having a look at how you can use CSS variables like a pro. Variables are a part of almost every programming language available in the world today, and now they're available in CSS3 as well. You've probably heard of CSS preprocessors like Sass or Less, and used them in your projects. Or maybe you've just stuck with vanilla CSS because it's easier for you. Either way, one of the main selling points of these preprocessors was the ability to use variables. You just create a variable, assign it a value, and then use it throughout the rest of your style sheet, which of course would help maintainability. In today's video, we'll start by familiarizing ourselves with how CSS variables work, and then we'll create two sample projects that actually use them. These sample projects will be available on CodePen, but for this video, we'll use Visual Studio Code to put these samples together. To get the most out of this tutorial, all you'll need will be a basic understanding of how CSS works today, and also a copy of Visual Studio Code installed on your computer. If you don't have Visual Studio Code, that's okay. You can use CodePen as a free online alternative. Let's start by getting familiar with what CSS variables are and how they work. Declaring a CSS variable is actually pretty easy. You just come up with a variable name and then prepend it with two hyphens to indicate that it's a variable. For simplicity's sake, normally developers declare these variables in the root element of the style sheet. This means that these variables are globally scoped and they're available for use anywhere in that file. But what about inheritance? Well, just like traditional CSS, which stands for cascading style sheet, CSS variables also cascade in nature, which means they will inherit from the parent if no custom property is defined. So, in an example that looks like this, the padding of the container inner and post content classes will be different because, by default, the target selector will inherit from its nearest parent. In this case, the post content selector inherits the padding value from its direct parent, post, with the value of 1.5 rem rather than 1 rem. Another feature we get within CSS variables is the ability to use fallback values. This is because it's possible that we might reference a variable that we haven't assigned yet. We can specify a fallback value to be used if the initial variable we specify can't be found within the style sheet. To do this, we simply specify an alternate value separated by a comma. We can also specify multiple values here, separated by a comma, for what variables we should use. And the browser will simply move through these fallback values until it can find one that it can use. Another reason why a fallback value could be used is if the value specified isn't valid for the property which we're using it for. For example, if we set up a variable like 16 pixels and then tried to use it as a color property, the browser would know it's not valid for a color property to be 16 pixels obviously. And then instead of using that invalid value, it would check if it could inherit the value from a parent. If the parent value is valid, then it will use that. Otherwise, it'll just fall back to the default color, which is normally just black in most browsers. Now we understand these basics, let's see how we can put this knowledge to work by building a simple project that uses CSS variables. So now what we'll do is we'll have a look at how we can implement our first example, which is building a variation on the theme of a button. What I've gotten started with here is just a blank directory, and I've called the directory button variation, but you can call it probably whatever you would like to. In this folder, we'll go ahead and we'll create the variations.html file, and we'll also create the variations.css file. We'll now go ahead and copy in the HTML from the first sample that we have there. At the top of our example, we'll be sure to add a link to our variations.css, so our HTML knows where to look for the style sheet for this page. Then we'll open up the variation.css file and we'll simply go ahead and paste that into this file. We can see here that the button class contains all the base styles for our button class, and the variations come in when the individual modifier classes get access to their colors. which are defined at the root level of the style sheet here. Having this here is actually really helpful, not just for the buttons, but for other elements in our HTML that can inherit the custom properties that we have listed here. For example, if tomorrow you decide that the color that you use for error is a little bit too bright or a little bit too dark, you can just change it to a different one, to whatever color you want. And all the elements that use this custom property are updated with a single change. That makes it a lot easier to maintain the style sheets for your app. So hopefully, from that simple example, we've started to understand how CSS variables work. Now we can use them to build a site-wide theme. Let's see how we can do that. On our second project, we'll now have a look at how we can create a site-wide theme. This theme will have a light and dark mode. The light theme will take effect by default unless the user already has a system set to a dark theme. On the page, we'll also create a toggle button that allows the user to switch between themes as they want to. So again, in Visual Studio Code, I've gone ahead and I've created a new folder and just called it site-wide theme. In here, we'll now create 3 files. The first one will be called theme.html, the second one will be called theme.css, and the third will just be theme.js. The first thing we'll do is we'll copy in the HTML from our second example into the theme.html file, and we'll save that. We'll also do the same for the CSS that we have here, and we'll also do the same for the JavaScript that we need for this to work. We'll head back to our HTML file, and at the very top, we'll add a reference to our style sheet, and we'll also add a reference to our JavaScript file. So now we've done that, let's go ahead and have a look at the CSS for this example. What we have here can really be divided into 2 different sections, the layout sections and the custom properties section. As you can see here, we have the layout section, and we also have the custom properties section, which makes up the remainder of this file. So for us, we'll focus on the custom properties part of this file. As you can see here, we have variables applied in pretty much all of our styles, for the links, for the paragraphs, for the header, and also the custom classes. The idea behind the approach that we see here is that by default, the website uses a light theme. So basically, the approach for this web page is that by default, when the user comes here, they'll have the light theme for a web page. If they want to, they can click on this box up here to toggle between the light and dark theme of the website as they choose to. Because we can't trigger these site-wide changes via CSS, JavaScript is actually critical here. In this next section, we'll have a look at how we can use some JavaScript code to toggle between the light and dark themes on our page. As an alternative to doing this, we could also trigger a change automatically via CSS using the prefers color scheme media query to detect whether the user requested a light or a dark color scheme. In other words, you can directly update the website to use the dark variants of the light theme. To do that, all we have to do is add a little bit of style changes to our CSS file. Up the top, we can include a media query that sets a different set of colors based on whether if our device prefers the dark color scheme. So now, let's go ahead and break down the state of this web page that we just made. A user visits the page. The media query prefers color scheme determines whether the user is using a light or a dark theme. If it's a dark theme, the website updates to use the dark variants of our style sheets we have specified here. If the user isn't using a dark theme or the OS doesn't support a dark theme, then the browser would instead default to the light theme that we have specified here. Of course, at any time, the user can click on the box to change between the light or the dark theme. The button that switches between the light and dark theme is controlled by our theme.js. Depending on whether the box is checked or unchecked, the useTheme function is called to pass in the theme variant. The useTheme function here is where all our magic happens. Based on the theme variant passed, a lookup is performed on the theme constant and used to switch between the light or the dark modes that we can see here. The last piece of the puzzle is how we save the currently active theme to be loaded again for next time. And we can see here that whenever our checkbox is changed, we call this toggle theme function. The toggle theme function in turn checks to see if it's ticked or not and uses the appropriate theme, but also saves to local storage what active theme is being used. So next time the web page loads up, we can check what the last active setting was. And the result, of course, is a web page that looks like this, and the user can change between light and dark themes as much as they would like to. Of course, there's probably a million other ways to achieve functionality like this, so feel free to go through the code and make some changes and play around with it as you would see fit. So, by building these couple of simple projects, you've begun to learn how to use CSS variables like a pro. Of course, there's a lot more to CSS variables than what we've covered today, so be sure to play around with the code to explore it further. CSS variables help simplify the way that you make websites while also helping you write maintainable code. You can read more about them on the Mozilla Development Network, or the MDN for short. But perhaps most importantly, how will you use CSS variables in the projects that you create? Leave us a comment telling us what your grand plans are, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be the first to know when we post our next programming tip. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the tutorial, you can see the full tutorial in our blog post linked in the description below. And if you want to see more videos and tutorials like this, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment in the comment section below. You can also find more tutorials and videos we've already posted on our YouTube page.